Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us today, and welcome to 14 Ways to Protect Your Business. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Gordon Christie, Managing Director of IT Hotdesk. I started IT Hotdesk nearly 11 years ago, and today I direct a team of over 15 technical professionals delivering varied IT services to our customer base located all over Scotland and beyond. Also on the call today, I have Stuart Houston, IT Hotdesk's Technical Operations Manager. Stuart, can you give us a quick introduction, please?
Thank you, Gordon. Hi, everyone, and good morning to you all. As Gordon said, my role here at IT Hotdesk is as Technical Operations Manager, and it's been my pleasure to assist our customers here over at IT Hotdesk for over 7 years with their business challenges. An integral part of this being the development of processes for securing against cyber threats within our customers' business continuity and risk management plans. So now, I'd also like to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to join us as we present this overview of 14 ways to help you protect your business. Please do prepare any questions you have as they arise, and we'll address these at the end of the presentation in the Q&A section. So, over to you, Gordon.
And thanks, Stuart. Yeah, I'd like to add my thanks for everyone that has joined today as well. Great to see all different types of businesses connected today. We've got a great mix, so we look forward to answering any questions that you might have at the end, as Stuart suggested earlier. So before we get started today, I'd like to make you aware of a new addition to our website. We have added a great interactive questionnaire on the subject of, is your business cyber secure? After the webinar, head over to www.ithotdesk.com and a pop-up will appear asking you to answer some questions. At the end, we'll send you a customized report based on the findings from your answers. This can really help you maintain a secure cyber posture in your business. So head over there at the end of the webinar. Okay, so let's get started. So IT Hotdesk, we believe that a strong defense with proactive detection and enhanced cybersecurity are essential for every business. We like to call this security that is baked into employees as well as systems that the organization operates. We put together this webinar in response to a workshop that we held for our client's executive board, and I'm delighted to be able to share with you some of our thoughts on the main things that you should consider when thinking about cybersecurity and threat prevention. We're going to go through 14 topics of cybersecurity and try and give you some free tips that you should employ as a business. We hope that you enjoy the next hour or so. So first up is security assessment. So probably one of the first things you really need to know is how secure you are at the moment. We call this the baseline. The baseline is used to technically determine the gaps that exist within your cybersecurity posture. The assessment delivers a risk-based matrix of the gaps, allowing you to make a clear business decision on elements that you need to protect. The assessment should review all components, including some of those listed on the slide. But let's start first with operating systems. Operating systems should be current and updated. We'll talk more about that later, but a key takeaway is don't allow operating systems or old operating systems to languish in your network. And don't forget about applications either. Flash Player, and more recently, even Adobe Reader have shown code vulnerabilities. Get them assessed for vulnerability. Firewalls, routers, switches all run software. Again, checking for vulnerabilities with the boot sequence files and the operating systems of these devices is pretty critical. Internet of Things is gaining more and more traction in the cyber world. Recent exploits using Ring doorbells, CCTV, smart TVs are extremely common. So we have even seen a hack on Samsung TVs with a built-in webcam being activated without permission. That's a really worrying exploit for business owners with meeting rooms with audio-video equipment. And worse still, a private invasion into your own household. There are lots of devices to think about when it comes to assessment. And without the assessment, you just don't know what you don't know. So our advice is to engage with a trusted cybersecurity partner like ourselves to perform an assessment. It's the first step to securing your systems. Next up is spam email. number 2 in our slide pack. One of the most common areas we see in business is spam, or emails that contain viral payload or phishing attacks. Protecting your email system is relatively easy. We recommend advanced threat protection gateway platforms that check both inbound and outbound emails before attempting delivery. Some more advanced protection can be afforded using artificial intelligence that continues to learn during the use of your email system, getting more advanced as time prevails. For me, this is really about brand protection. Imagine a breach where you unknowingly send an email to customers with some questionable content. The harm that can do to your business is almost unimaginable. Domain reputation changes on DKIM and DCOM go hand in hand to increase protection. Again, this is brand related. These items help protect recipients so they really know the email came from you. IT Hotdesk, we're here to help you define the best protection solution for your business, including what policies should be deployed and how best to deal with emerging threats. Our next slide, number 3, is all about passwords. This slide's a little bit of a mix of passwords and security policies. The single most important thing you can do is make sure that you have a strong password. Don't use your favorite pet's name. Look around the room. Pick 3 objects. Let's say a laptop, a screen, and then you have a window. Then use these words to make up your password. So for instance, and mix it up with numbers and symbols. So for instance, if it was laptop, you might have capital L, number 4 for an A, lowercase pt, the number 0, and then a P. Obviously, you can also use passphrases. I like the one, I went to the pub, so I've been there for a long time. And again, mix that up with symbols and numbers inserted. So it doesn't really mean anything. It's not a word, it's a phrase. No one can really guess that, or it's difficult for them to guess. Remember to have security policies on your passwords for the business. These rules are often overlooked, but policies around how you want employees to act are critical. Password policies, when set within the network operating system, can also enforce those rules, so you don't need to check that the rules are being followed. Security policies also allow the business to set rules on device access rules, so allowing the business to stop the use of USB drives, for instance. And don't forget, don't use the same password across multiple websites or applications. Have a different password. This is really important, and I'm going to talk more about that when we talk about the dark web later on in the slide pack. So our next slide is number 4 on our list, and one key part of delivering a strong cyber defense is educating your team and modifying what I call the human behavior. If your team is not trained to spot threats, then it can be difficult for them to spot them. We would recommend frequent up-to-date training with additional simulated phishing attacks, allowing the business to score team members. This can be really effective as the team are trained using up-to-date video content, making them aware and educated to the latest threats that are out there. Then a few days later, unbeknown to your team, we'll conduct a simulated phishing attack. Once complete, we can analyze those results. Team members that have scored low can be allocated further training. We have a great blog on our website called 6 Reasons Why You Should Invest in Cybersecurity Awareness Training. It's on the website. It's a 5-minute read, and I really do encourage you to invest just that little time and just have a read through that. Next up is number 5. Everyone that I know has or believes that they have virus protection installed. And virus protection has been around for years, and it's evolved over time with some really useful features. However, over the last 12 months or so, there's been a shift in the way that virus protection protects endpoints. It used to be the case that a signature file would be downloaded to an endpoint, and that signature file contained the latest information protecting the endpoint. However, clearly the gap existed that if you didn't have the latest signature file, you could be exposed. So with the latest virus protection software using artificial intelligence and machine learning, you increase protection. And that is essential to combat a threat landscape that is larger and more sophisticated than ever. Some recent threats are fileless and even script-based attacks, where AI and machine learning play a pivotal role in protecting your endpoint. The advice here is to ensure you're using good protection, like Bitdefender Gravity Zone. Buy it as a managed service, so if the worst happens, you have a partner that can help you. We offer managed endpoint protection, so we can secure the infected endpoint quickly and remediate against further attacks for our customers. Next up is multi-factor authentication. It's an electronic authentication method, in which a device or a user is granted access to a website or an application, but only after successfully presenting 2 or more pieces of evidence to an authentication mechanism. The idea behind multi-factor authentication is based on knowledge and possession. You have the knowledge of your password, and you also possess the MFA device. MFA devices come in a few different forms, most commonly an app on your mobile device or a USB-type device with rotating codes. More and more applications, including web applications, can be configured for MFA. LinkedIn, for example, has an MFA option. So enable it, and that will prevent a breach on your account. Without MFA, your password can be guessed, account hacked, and your brand reputation damaged. Microsoft 365 has MFA built in, so if you have an existing tenancy, it's likely that it'll be turned off by default. So please, speak to your cyber partner about activating MFA across all your applications and web services. Now on to number 7, computer updates. So software vendors should continuously update operating systems and applications to reduce the threats. With so many applications being used in business, the problem is keeping up to date with these vendor release patches. Having a look at what applications are installed on a machine, you'll have Adobe, Microsoft, Java, Sage, and a load of other line of business applications. All of them essential for your day-to-day operation, no doubt. So keeping these up to date using a managed service that monitors vulnerabilities and patches within an agreed time window is essential. If you don't have a managed service doing this for you, then you or your other option is to monitor the software vendors for the latest versions and then manually keep up to date. However, instructing all your team to do this will be cumbersome. So if this is you today, then let us know and we can talk to you about our critical update management service. So on to slide number 8, dark web research. So data breaches happen. The key is to know what and when it happens and then to take action. Typically, when a breach happens, information is published onto the dark web. Now, the dark web is full of information, with a lot of illegal actors publishing personal, identifiable information, such as your full name, your email address, your passwords for websites, your credit card details, and even banking information. We use a software platform that performs dark web research and notifies compromised users of any information leaks. This allows the user to identify the breached account and take appropriate action, such as changing the password and, of course, enabling MFA. Really important. And remember what I said earlier about not using the same password across multiple websites, and now you know why. Moving on to number 9, which is SIEM, which is another confusing acronym used in IT, and there's just far too many of them. We like to try and keep IT simple. So SIEM stands for Security, Information, and Event Management. Now, to explain this in simple terms, it's log management. That's what it really is. Every operating system and application will write event entries to a log. or at least every well-written software should do that. That log can contain important information relating to security events. Log management can be an important part of your cybersecurity posture. If a monitored log creates a specified entry, then the log management software can open up a service ticket for us to review. Action can then be taken to clear the event so that it doesn't happen again. Prevention is key. Also, during a breach, we would hope that the logs begin alerting, allowing us to shut down the breach quickly and secure your environment. On to number 10, which is Web Security Gateway. So here I want to talk about the threat that's connecting to your computers to the internet can cause, and why you should be inspecting the traffic coming in and out of your network. A few years ago, it was just simply too expensive to implement an intelligent threat protection gateway on a small business network. Larger enterprise companies can afford £15,000 appliances that inspected information as it came in and out of the network. However, as with everything in technology, the price has lowered and access to these devices is now more common for smaller businesses. Typically, at the edge of your network, you'll have a router, effectively allowing all traffic in that is requested from the inside. So let's say one of your team accesses a website with a viral payload. They might download a PDF or simply surf a page that contains some executable code. Because it has been requested from the inside, that router will allow it back into your network. Web security gateways inspect the traffic, and if it has bad payload, it will block it. An example of this is in our cloud generation firewalls. Using advanced threat detection, it can even execute payloads in a virtual safe environment, checking for that payload before it enters the safe network area. Another important note is about operating system firewalls. Configure them to effectively for your team. Turn them on and then pay attention to those alerts. On to slide number 11, which is mobile device security. So key tips for this is to ensure that you have a 6-digit PIN enabled. Pretty standard practice now. Most people have probably got that enabled, or they should definitely have that enabled, 6-digit PINs, along with their Face ID maybe on their Apple device. But when your device is at rest, you should know that it's encrypted and secure. So if you allow your team to have business data on the device, then you should consider mobile device security. This is a platform that allows your partner to ring-fence business applications to prevent data leakage. Ring-fencing your business applications on mobile devices prevents data from being moved to a personal account, protecting the business data and protecting the business overall. Also, if a device is lost or stolen, or the business wants to remotely lock or wipe a device, that's also possible using mobile device security. Next up is our firewall slide, number 12. So we talked about firewalls during the web security gateway slide. However, I wanted to mention these again and specifically talk about log analysis. For those that don't know, a firewall is a device that is designed to protect the inside network from outside connectivity. So like a connection to the internet. You'd probably be surprised, but in our very own business at IT Hot Desk, we see over 100 attempted security breaches every week. These come from various geographical locations, but the UK, China, and Russia are the most common ones, but they can come from anywhere. And when we see these attacks or attempted hacks to our network, we don't believe we're being specifically targeted. We're just an IP address like everyone else. But if we didn't log from our firewall, we would never know that these breaches were being attempted. So turning on logging on the device is essential. Sending log events out to your log management system is one part of the defense strategy that we employ. Intrusion detection allows us to configure intrusion prevention in a timely manner and keeps their systems operating at their most efficient level. Although the review of logs take time, we feel it's an important part of keeping our business safe. Moving on to number 13, which is encryption. So let me talk about workstation laptop security. These devices are clearly portable. As a rule of thumb, any data leaving the physical security of your office should be encrypted. Laptops that have been lost or stolen can have data stolen or sold on the dark web when the drive is not encrypted. Policies are recommended here to ensure that encryption is enabled and encryption keys are managed and stored securely. Remember those USB drives as well. If you're carrying a USB drive, get it encrypted before you take it out of the office. That way the data can't be stolen. Now, what about data that's on your server? Unlikely to leave the building physically. However, digitally, you access that data every day. Having the data encrypted means it's more secure. It is a posture that we are seeing being deployed more and more frequently. I would think in the next 12 months or so, we will see a seismic shift in data encryption on on-premise servers. If you're a Microsoft 365 customer with SharePoint, your data is already encrypted, both at rest when it's sitting at that data center, and also when it's in transit when you're making changes. If you're encrypting 365, encrypt everything else. On to backup, which is number 14. So it always amazes me when we onboard a new client and confirm what the backup plan and the recovery time objectives are with them. There are nearly always gaps of what they think is being backed up versus what is actually being backed up. And they also don't really understand how quickly they can recover in the event of different events happening within their company. So backups are your last line of defense. If you do nothing today from the information that you've learned, then do one thing and ask your provider the following questions. What is backed up? What schedule of backup is followed? If we are required to restore a business application, how long will it take to be available? If the server was inaccessible, how quickly would you be able to recover? And can you recover from a daily midpoint instead of the previous day? And one more point. How often are test restores done to ensure that that successful backup always works? If you have not completed an integrity check, then I'd suggest you do that and you put that on your to-do list, or ask your IT partner to do one. If you're a managed service customer of IT Hotdesk, we perform backup integrity checks on a monthly basis for our customers. Every day, the backups are checked for completeness, and then every month we test them. Also, if this topic kind of interests you more, then our next Business Insights webinar will be on business continuity and disaster recovery. So make sure you sign up for a newsletter online, and we'll be sure to include you in the invite for that. That's going to be happening in the next 6 weeks or so. Okay, so that just about ends our webinar today. Let's look to see what questions have been posted. Looks like we have ones that came in. Let me see. First one here, we'll get Stuart involved in answering some of these as well. So the first one is, you mentioned security assessments being important. How are these conducted, and will I have to spend time with you to get these done? So let me answer that one, and I'll get Stuart to answer the other two questions that we've got posted here. So that's a really good question about security assessments. They are critically important, right? If you don't know, you don't know. So doing the assessment at the beginning is a key part in being able to determine where your risks lie in your business. So really quite easy to do. The way that we handle them is we typically come on site and we run our tool set across your environment, which determines all the different pieces of software that you've got, the hardware components that you have, router switches, operating systems, applications that you've got, everything that we've kind of mentioned. And we assess those against our catalog database of common vulnerabilities that are found. And we come up with a risk matrix of what you should be fixing within your network. We typically weight that technically. So we'll maybe put a weight of 10 for the real critical things, where a weight of 1 for the less critical. But that's not always the case where we perform the remediation on those. It might have a business weight associated to it as well. So we look at both, and then we ultimately remediate against those threats from the risk matrix. Really quite simple. Not a lot of time is needed for the client. It's a lot of time that we spend on it, but the client interaction is quite minimal. And yeah, definitely worthwhile doing. It's like, say, security assessments. If you don't know, you don't know. So find out, know, and then make a judgment on how that risk could affect your business. So hopefully that answers that question. Question number 2. I'll get Stuart to answer this one. So I found it quite interesting hearing about computer updates. How do you keep up with all the application and operating system updates? It seems impossible to keep up. It's a great question. So I'll pass over to Stuart for that one.
Thanks, Gordon. Indeed, yes, absolutely. I definitely agree. Manually keeping up is very difficult. It's important to know and map the list of software that you have and look at the best ways of keeping them all up to date. Then plan how you're going to manage those updates, or get a partner like us, of course, to manage the updates for you. We use cataloging software specially designed to detect the software that you have and the patches that are required. We then bundle and package those up as part of our patching update service, and these are then deployed out. Makes it a lot easier. It isn't without problems, though. Hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Stuart. Yeah, no, it's computer updates are always a challenge, and especially now when I suppose we've got a mix of asset workstations, laptops that are at people's houses, in the office, and bandwidth connections, and houses aren't typically as good as what you should find in the office, and so there's always challenges around making sure that your applications are up to date. But if you don't keep them up to date and you leave them lying as the older versions, then you're just opening yourself up for trouble, because there are exploits that are found in software on a daily basis, and keeping up to date and getting them patched is really important. Again, with managed services, like Stuart said, with managed services from IT Hotdesk, we ensure that we've got a window that we update our clients with the latest Microsoft critical security updates, and even feature updates are being rolled out, which are huge updates, and we're rolling them out to clients quite successfully. So yeah, give us let us know if we can help around that. So last question of the day, I believe. Don't think we have any other questions. Just this last one is, I've got a free AVG antivirus installed. Is that any good? I'll pass over to Stuart on this one as well, I think, and let's see what Stuart thinks about that, and I'll maybe comment at the end.
Of course. Well, free normally means private use only. So you're probably not licensed to use that in a business context. Also, free typically means that it has a reduced feature set, maybe isn't as responsive in terms of updates and patches that it's receiving. And without support, it's going to be quite hard to get help should you suffer a viral or cyber incident. So I'd say it's definitely worth the minimal expense of having a licensed and paid up subscription to ensure you've got the coverage that you're looking for in a timely and responsive fashion. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, Stuart. I don't think I can add too much to that, to be honest. It's normally the same, isn't it? If I get something free, it's just not as good as the full product. And I think, unfortunately, in today's business world, we're exposed to these costs, but they're costs that you have to bear, because without something, good endpoint protection installed, then you're just opening yourself up for a lot of trouble. It's amazing how cybersecurity has developed over the last 2-3 years. We've always had viruses in IT. 20 years ago when I started in IT, we've always had viruses, but I think now it's even more common. There's just so many people out there trying to trick you into doing things, and viral payloads and malware and ransomware and everything else. But anyway, okay, thanks very much for the questions, everyone. Well, that kind of ends our webinar for today. All that's left for me to say is to thank Stuart for his time today, and also thanks to Natalie for, thank you, Stuart, and also thanks to Natalie for producing the live meeting today. If any of our attendees are interested in having a private one-to-one chat with either Stuart or I, or AJ, who's our cybersecurity architect, then feel free to reach out or fill in the form on our website. We shall also send you an email for all attendees today with a link to the recording of the webinar, which you can replay at your convenience. And finally, don't forget to visit ithotdesk.com, www.ithotdesk.com, and do our Is Your Business Cyber Secure questionnaire. I'll give you a great download at the end that you can look at, and I'll also inform you about the kind of 14 things that we've talked about today as well. So once again, thanks for attending, and have a great day, everyone. Thanks.